Recently I took a trip to Pennsylvania, and while I was there I visited the Flight 93 Memorial. It's a very special place that remembers a very scary day that happened in 2001. You probably learned about what happened on September 11th, 2001 in school. A lot of the stories about it start out by saying it was a beautiful day, or it was an ordinary day, and that's the way I remember it too. It was a very nice, sunny, warm day for early September. I went to work that day. It was a Tuesday, like I do every day. And shortly after I got there, one of my coworkers came by and said that a plane had crashed into one of the World Trade Center towers, and that was in New York City. So there was a TV in the conference room, so we all went in there and watched on CNN to see what happened. One of the guys made a joke like you do in uncomfortable situations. And then I had to get back to work, so I went back to my desk. Just a few minutes later, another coworker came by and said that a second plane had crashed into the second tower, and that was when the world changed. It was terrorism, and America was under attack, and it was very scary. Later that morning, we found out that a third plane had crashed into the Pentagon. The Pentagon is where the military is headquartered in Washington, D.C. So now, terrorists had attacked our financial center, the World Trade Center towers, our military center, the Pentagon, and nobody knew what was going to happen next. What we didn't know is that there was a fourth plane, and this was Flight 93, United Airlines Flight 93. They had taken off from the airport in Newark, New Jersey at 8:40, which is about 40 minutes late. They were supposed to take off at 8 o'clock. They took off at 8:40 and they were headed to San Francisco. 47 minutes into their flight, at about 9:30-ish, hijackers took over the plane. By this time, the other planes had already crashed into the World Trade Center towers and the Pentagon. So when the hijackers made everybody move to the back of the plane, a lot of the people called their friends and family to let them know what was going on. And that's how the passengers found out about what had happened. And their friends and family told them about what happened in New York and in Washington. So the people on Flight 93 decided they weren't going to let that happen to their plane. By this time, the plane had turned and was flying towards Washington, D.C. It's thought that the hijackers' target was either the Capitol building or the White House. And the passengers on Flight 93 decided they weren't going to let that happen. They came up with a plan to take over the cockpit and land it safely.
Okay. Let's roll.
The flight attendants got boiling water and some pitchers to throw on the terrorists. Some of the other passengers got a food cart, and they were going to crash it into the cockpit door to try and force it open. From what I've been able to read and figure out, they tried for a good 10 minutes to try and get that cockpit door open. Unfortunately, the terrorists were still in control, and they decided that instead of letting the passengers take control of the plane, that they would crash it. So they flew it into the ground, into an empty field near Shanksville, Pennsylvania. And that's where the memorial is. That's where the Flight 93 memorial is today. The memorial is a beautiful, tastefully done story about the bravery of the people on Flight 93 and what they did that day. Here are some pictures and some videos of my visit that day. If you'd been standing here on that day, it would have come from behind us and crashed ahead of us, right along this line.